Hello, everybody. Son Adelaja here from Kiev, Ukraine. I'm back with you today with the program The Mind and Methods of DSA. The Minds and Methods of DSA is a program that is being spearheaded by a friend of mine and a DSA family member that is based in the UK. People like his mind and his inquisitive questions. The questions he's been asking and the methods he's been using to ask his own question are totally different from some of the ones that have been asked me previously. And he's kind of picking on the mind of DSA. So that's why we call this the mind and methods, because he actually kind of knows a way, he has a way of picking on my mind. Now, I'm going to hand over to the anchor of this program, Mr. Ben Okoh, and he's going to and he's going to continue leading the program. Hello, Ben. How are you doing today?
Hello. Very well. Thank you. Thank you. Very
Well, the
well.
ball is in your court now.
Okay. Well, I hope, I mean, every time I interview or we have to do, I find that it's most successful. Well, when I come out of it, I feel more enriched if it's when have it as like I'm having a discussion with you, because there's so many things that I see. There are things I read from your books. I read your books. I see the way you deal with things, and then try to make a link between what I see to try and interpret what you're doing, what I'm reading, and then trying to reflect on what I am doing, or what I should be doing, or what not to be doing. So it's very complex relationship in terms of understanding the way you work and the things you do, because we've been doing so for quite a number of years, and more actively in the last probably 2 years. Reading some of your books, trying to understand what you're doing. But one of the things to prepare for this, just to at least have a bit of background, because I know today's topic, life of a leader, is a big topic. I wouldn't even know where to start because there's so many aspects of leadership there. But I thought, okay, one of the things I picked out from your book, I read the Kingdom of Sons, because I felt that that was sort of a leadership-like book that I got, was I had the sense of you saying leadership as a role. I felt the book appeared to me like it was talking about really standing up to leadership as a role. How complete is that perspective of leadership? That it is a role. It's something that you're obliged to do, or something that you're obliged to carry out.
I would not call it a role, I would call it a function.
A function. Okay.
So leadership, I would not like to. I don't. Yes, there are aspects of leadership where you have to play your role. There are aspects of leadership that is role connected, and that is more related to what we call positional leadership. Even though
Okay.
positional leadership is legitimate, and positional leadership is what most people practice in the world. Yet, I would not make a big deal of positional leadership, because I think that positions, when your leadership is tied to your position, or when your position defines your leadership, that is when you need to play the role of a leader. But I don't, that is not the way I function. Not that I don't recognize it, I recognize it as a fact, but I don't like to function from that position. So, positional leadership or role leadership is not something that I celebrate so much. I rather will say I welcome more what you call the type of leadership that is where you function in, which is a leadership that is connected more to who you are and your essence. So then you just function in it as a natural habitation, as a natural ambience, rather than to what you do. But it's more of your function or of your being rather than your role.
Okay. So if you describe leadership as some sort of something that's part of your being, um, does that mean? what would you say of if I said that everyone is a leader? Is
Well,
that a true fact?
well, taking that back to the book you just mentioned,
Yes.
the Kingdom of Sons. So you will see in that book that it's more connected to being than playing a role. So when we're talking about Kingdom of Sons, it's about you becoming a son first. And by becoming a son, you automatically become a leader. And you live out that life. So it's more a functional, operation rather than a role that you play. So by being a son, you are being a leader. So the same kind of thing we are talking about here. So when you, what is this your question? The additional question you just asked now.
Uh, I think leadership connected to who you are. I think that was what I
Yes,
mentioned.
that is who you are.
Yeah.
So it's more about who you are than what you can do. Because if you become a son, automatically that is who you are. And if you are a son, you will function as a son definitely. But but it's not something you are born with. Okay, the question you ask is that everybody is a leader. I absolutely
Yes.
believe in
Oh,
that.
yes, that was it.
But
Yeah.
what I believe in is that you are a potential leader. Everybody is a
Okay.
potential leader until you grow into it. So everybody is a potential leader until you learn it or you become one. So we are all a potential leader. Everybody is a potential leader, but you need to grow into it and perfect it. But
So
so
can we say,
a lot of people
yeah.
argue against this fact that everybody is a leader, and they argue that no, it cannot be because leaders are born. Yes, of course, they are born leaders, but a lot of people learn to be leaders as well. But the leadership potential is in everybody because we all carry the image and likeness of God. And I've learned this lesson in different ways. For example, in a family, most people would think that the leader is the husband, and the wife is not the husband, is not a leader.
Leader?
Even if
Yeah.
she is the most docile and the most passive woman or wife, I tell you she's a leader as well. No matter how
Yeah.
passive she is, and no matter how docile she is or laid back she is, even if she's so laid back and quiet all the time, I will tell you, I will give you just one example to prove to you that every wife or every woman, every mother is a leader. Okay, so let's say the father is a leader in the family, but once the father is out of the home, begin to study the woman. When a woman gives birth to a child and the child is just 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, see how the woman deals with that child. You will discover that she's a leader big time. And then when that child begins to crawl around the house and begin to weigh under 1 year and all that, you begin to study the actions, even of the most passive woman. You will see how she's giving direction and she's giving instructions. You will know that she assumes that role of leadership immediately just by becoming a mother. And then the children begin to look up to her. So every woman, every mother is therefore a leader because she gives and provides leadership to the children. It's just I learned this lesson in a very funny way in our own church, because in our church I try to teach this lesson that everybody is a leader, but there will always be a group of people that don't think much about themselves. So there was a certain woman. There were a number of them, but this particular day, I was supposed to go to the restroom in our own church. I was supposed to go to the restroom, and I couldn't enter. And there were about 6 or 7, 8 men standing to enter to go to the restroom. So I was asking, what's the problem? Why are you all waiting here? They said there is somebody inside, the cleaner. And this cleaner is one of the older women in the church that is just making extra money and cleaning the place. And she is the person that will never talk. She's the kind of person that would never really, you would never think that she has a mouth or she has a voice. She's like somebody you would never pay attention to. But so I just say, okay, well, is she inside? They said she's inside. So as I tried to open the door, I just wanted to open the door. I thought when she sees me, she will allow me to go in. So as I opened the door, She just said, who is opening that door? I told you people that this place is being cleaned up. It's break. Go out of there. I couldn't believe it. She kept all 6 men waiting. And I understood the reason why immediately. Then she lifted up her head and saw that I was the one. She said, oh, Pastor, I didn't know that. Well, I said, but you have been working on you for 3 years to become a leader, and you say you are not a leader. Is that not leadership to keep all these people waiting? And even me now, I have to wait because you are the leader here. We have to listen to you. That is leadership. You see, everybody assumes that position of a leader when they are in their own space, when they are their own place. And when she got to her own place, to her own territory, she did, that leadership potential came out of her.
But I think that example is a very good one because it helps to understand this, what you were saying. Because I wanted to ask you more about this concept between functional and positional leadership as you described. Because I know, because you're going, I'm using this example because I know Nigeria or, and Africa is something you're considering, that's where you're going to. Now you're not considering it, that's where you're planning to go to. It's common there that you could have someone who's a cleaner who would probably use his positional leadership to stress people out. Or, people who is you need to, there's an accountant or there's somebody who, the PA, or, there are people who are gates, probably they are in charge of gates, they hold gates or access for you to go to places, and they will frustrate you because they want to make you know that they are in charge. And sometimes they want to make money out of it as well. But I want to make you know that they're in charge. And that appears to be something that's positional. This lady was doing her job, which is the functional part of that. And yes. It's sort of like, it's like you want your people to be expressive within yes. what they are doing. Is that the idea?
I wanted them to be more functional.
Okay.
I wanted them to be functional leaders rather than positional leaders.
So can you elaborate what this functional leadership is? Because you want someone to be a functional leader. You earlier said that it's about them being. They have to become. So
yes. That's why I wanted, for example, the woman, I wanted her to believe in herself that she's a leader and that leadership is inside of her and she could operate as a leader every time. But she shied away from it all these years because I wanted her to take responsibility in every area of life as a leader. A functional leader is who he is. He will function as like that anywhere, anytime, because that is the identity and the personality and the belief he has in himself, and that is who he is everywhere. He will provide leadership wherever the need comes because it has become his personality and his identity. But a positional leader will shy away from leadership most of the cases and in most instances of life, and will not identify himself as a leader and will not even function as a leader, except it's in place where he's being recognized as his own position. So if in the place where it is their position, like that mother, as a position of a mother that is breastfeeding that child, she will assume that role as a positional leader. Or as a mother of that toddler, she would know how to place the child and make her keep quiet, not to cry, and when to eat and all that. But when she steps out of that role, then she cannot do it. Just like the cleaner, when she's in that place where she's cleaning that restroom and she could keep everybody out and she's up to her task, because she's more comfortable in the position. But when she steps out of there, she will not function. But a functional leader will rather function everywhere because he has come to embrace that personality and that functionality and that essence of being a leader.
Okay, but if you're going to function, usually functioning requires you to have a reason to be functioning. So if you're functioning, for example, the cleaner, even though it's positional, they're functioning because there's a role and a responsibility to which they have to carry out. But if you're going to function in a functional way, you're functioning everywhere. Functioning doing what?
No, that is why it's more of being than acting a role. Being means that you are becoming. So you don't need to think about functioning as what when you have become. That is what that book says about, Kingdom of Sons. You have to grow from being a child to being a son. Unto us a child is born, but unto us a son is given. There is a metamorphosis that is happening. So functional into who you are. Functional as functioning as a leader is functioning as who you already grow yourself to be. So this requires more knowledge. This requires change. It means that you have worked on yourself and you've been able to change yourself. Like this book, Moses' generation and versus Joshua generation. Those are two leaders right there, and two functionality of leader. But the second, there is another book that is here now that it says, I'm a person. About am I a personality? You see, being a person, everybody is a person. But to become a personality, you've got to become. And a process of becoming means you are working on yourself to become. And you are changing definitely to become. So becoming is more, it takes more than just functioning. I mean, it's more than position, playing a role, sorry. It's more than being in a position. It's more than just carrying out instructions. So functioning as to function as a personality, you've got to become that personality first. So once you have become that personality, you can function in it anytime, because that is who you are right now, because you have become. It could have taken you years to become. It could have taken you years to study, to adapt, to metamorphosize, to change, to becoming that personality that we are talking about. But, that is why a functional leader is much more a greater responsibility than a positional leader.
Wow. So you can't be functional as a functional leader if you're self-conscious. Does it mean that you shouldn't have any sense of being self-conscious?
No.
Because it's more like you're saying you should just be everywhere. Just be yourself everywhere.
It is the opposite. It is the opposite. You've got to, you've got to be self-conscious. Without being self-conscious, you would never even develop the ability to become a leader. You've got to consciously develop that ability to become a leader, to become, to being. There is another book that I wrote, is Where Are the Heroes? Let the Heroes Arise. So that book is talking about this, about becoming. Because the fact that you are an individual, just like the other book says, that you are a person, doesn't mean that you are a personality. So when you become a person, for you to even become that personality, you have got to be aware that you are not a person yet, a personality yet. You've got to be aware. You've got to be awake. You've got to know. Just like this other book that we are going to talk about, Let the Heroes Arise. Where are the heroes? You've got to know that I'm not a hero. I want to be. Then you begin to build your assets. You begin to add value to yourself to become that kind of person. So it's about becoming consciously. That becoming has to happen consciously. And it has to start from the awareness that you are not what you want to be. You have to consciously wake up to become what you need to be.
So therefore, you need to be aware of needs, because I noted this as needs, because you have to be aware of the needs, the things you need. To be aware of needs, you need to have an ideal. So you, at least, to be aware that, okay, I need to develop some things. And because you said, and build your assets, which do these assets, so there are two questions. So let's start with your first one. The first one is, there needs to be an ideal for you to feel like there's something you're working towards, or there are some needs you have, or needs you need to have. There must be an ideal, and then you contrast the ideal to yourself, and then you think that, okay, that is something I need. What is the ideal that a functional leader should be thinking about?
It's not always an ideal. It could be, it's just being provoked to the awareness that you are not who you are supposed to be. You are this our talk today is bringing to mind a lot of books, because those are the things that I do. I make people to become from who they are to become their better self. There's another book that I've written that is called Create Your Own Net Worth. So that is the process. So for people who don't know how to become, how will I be able to create? You either get that book, I'm a person, am I a personality, or you take the other one, Create Your Own Net Worth. So everybody can actually create his own net worth. But you might not know the ideal of the ideal place you are going to, or the ideal that you must be. but at least you have to be aware that you are not the best of who you could become. So the ideal has to be connected to the ideal you that God has created, the ideal person that God intended you to become. And so it's enough for you to build and to create a better self. It's enough to begin to be aware that you are not where you're supposed to be yet, and that you have not attained your utmost potential yet. So if you will start from that point of knowing that, I am not all that I could be yet, that I am better than who I am right now, that is enough by itself to begin to spur you to, want to add value to yourself, to want to, create your own net worth, to want to become a personality, and to want to improve and move forward. So in that whole process of trying to improve yourself and add value to yourself, what you are doing is that you are already, becoming. You are becoming. You are in a transition from a person to being a personality. So that is the whole process of change that has to happen to you first. And yes, that is so. Then as much as you know that you are not where you're supposed to be yet, and you need to improve yourself, the more you grow in that awareness, the more you work on yourself, the more you become. And one day you just discover that, you are functioning as a leader because you have worked on yourself, you've added value to yourself, and now you could do what others can't do. You can see the needs where they are, and you see that you'll be able to provide solutions and answers while others are not able to do anything about it. So it's about growing from just being a person to becoming a personality by creating your own net worth.
And how do you add this value to yourself? Because why I'm asking that is because when I listened to that Kingdom of Sons, the book, it gives the idea that you should, it was giving challenge. There were many parts of the book where there are challenges that are thrown out. For example, you have this thing going on in your society. How is that happening and you're there? And it was like, wow, to take on some of these things that you are saying that should be taken on, you need to be very strong to be able to do that.
Yes.
How do you develop yourself? Because is it just simply, reading the books? Because these things, you said in a part, I think I wrote it down, that it impacts on your identity and your personality. Now, to change your identity to your personality, that means whatever you're thinking about has to almost affect your subconscious.
Yes,
It
definitely.
it can't just be surface knowledge. So how do you get things into your subconscious in a way that this is effective? Like how, because you use that word a lot even in the book in terms of you have to build yourself up within, or you have to you say that sometimes even in some of the videos that that you should, I can't remember the exact words you use, but use the word that if you go into solitude and read your books, you should use that to build yourself within. That's a sort of a paraphrasing of what you say. Is that what it just takes? Just take the tapes or the books and just listen and just try and put some things in practice to become that? Because it looks like something that could take a long time.
Well, I just, look, well, as you are talking, I just picked up my iPad and I wanted to do an experiment. And the experiment I'm doing is that I just put my name, Sunday Adelaja, and I wrote one word, value.
Value, okay.
Yes. So one of the things that came up is how to work on yourself and add value to your life.
Ooh. Wow. You mean on Google?
Yes.
Was it a search?
I just did a search on YouTube.
Okay.
So everything is there from A to Z.
What did you see? What came up there? Value.
I just wrote Sunday Adelaja and I wrote the word value. But value, if it will even be better if I put add value to yourself. Okay. Let me do that. Add value to yourself. But even if it's just with the word value, You get all the
Okay.
answer to that.
I'm
So,
doing that. I can see it. How to work on yourself and add value to your next.
aha.
You can become anything you want. Success is hidden in the place of
You
pain.
see?
Convert your life into a system.
You.
Wow. It's a lot. When you think of it. How to increase your net worth.
You see?
Uh, Add value to any sphere. Okay. So
Woo!
yes. So that's where
I
we can
did
put the
this.
link.
Let me tell you what I just did. Sunday Adelaja, add value to yourself. I got some of the
Yeah.
things you got, but I got some that you didn't
Yeah.
get. It says how to work on yourself and add value to yourself. I got that one. I got another one. Convert your life into into a system of value chain. Your net
Okay.
worth depends on your added value. How to reclaim your lost years. You can become anything you want. Convert your time into a treasure called, so yeah, you cannot miss it. You cannot miss it. For anybody
So
that is
it's
really hungry, that really wants to add value to himself, all the steps are there for them.
So when we started this interview, we started from leadership. Then it went on to functional leadership. You differentiating positional leadership from functional leadership. I will come back to the positional leadership, so at least we get to understand in what ways that is, and if something's wrong with it or not, or if it's okay to position, why you don't want to accept, why you choose to functional and you appear to ignore the positional leadership. We'll talk about that. But then we now come to value. So what role does value play in leadership? Because I remember when we started the discussion offline before starting, I did mention that leadership is such a wide concept. I didn't know where to start when you're just thinking about it, talk less of discussing it. So where does value fit in the whole sphere of leadership?
Yeah, because, okay, I told you that to become a functional leader, you've got to grow
Yeah.
into it. You've got to grow
Okay.
from being a child that is born, or being, unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. So you've got to
Yeah.
grow. Just like it says of Jesus, Jesus grew and the son grew in wisdom, in understanding, and in stature. So you've got to grow. So how do you grow? You grow by adding value to yourself. That is how it's like bricks. It's like you want to build a house. So the building bricks are the values. So you are putting some content into yourself. You are building the content of your character, the content of your personality. Otherwise, if you don't have any value or content, you will not be able to sit down like this and be, okay, I'm sitting down here and I'm talking some stuff. Things are coming out of my mouth. I came here, I don't know what you are going to talk to me about. I don't know what question you are going to ask. I'm just sitting down here. So why am I so confident? And what am I talking about? How do I know what I'm going to talk about? How do I know that I'm going to be able to answer your questions? Because I've added value to myself over the years. I've become heavy inside. I have a
Yeah, that was
lot
the
of,
word. That was the word I was trying to remember. Heavy inside. You say
yes,
that a lot.
I've put a
Yeah.
lot of content in myself. I've built a lot of stamina. I've built a lot of weight. I've built a lot of muscles. I've built a lot of depth. I've put in a lot of cement, if you want, in my man. So you could just be looking at me and be seeing the caption of an individual, of a person, of a black man. But beyond that, there are a lot of depth inside of me. And it is only when I speak or write or I express myself one way or the other that you begin to discover that no, this is not just another frame of black man that is sitting before me. That there is something, there is a content and there is a quality that is coming out of this person that is of another realm. And that is what adding value to yourself does to you. It builds you up. You are not just empty. It's just like when people are building. I had the picture that's coming to my mind is a picture of many-story buildings like skyscrapers. When that some of them, they first of all put the frame, just the frame like that. So this is not just the frame alone, but when it's finished, everything is packed, everything is cemented, everything is fully functional, fully packed. Well, that is because it was filled with something. Cement, bricks, things are put in place, not just empty frame. A lot of people have the frame of a body. They have a body, they have beautiful body, beautiful frames, But besides that frame, nothing is just empty. You could just breathe. The air that breathes from one side of that frame will come out on the other side. Nothing to hold it back. No content, no fillness. They are not filled up with anything. They are empty. But but when you are filled up, and that takes a lot of work to make sure that you are full of content and a lot of values. Those are the things we are talking about of adding value to yourself.
Okay. And is it positional leaders? Okay.
Go
Yes. And
ahead,
does
go
it mean,
ahead.
okay, does it mean positional leaders are more likely to be less of uh, providing value? Can you
Of
positional
course,
leaders,
for
the people who are
most positional leaders, they know something, but they only know what they need to know to function where they are. They need to know
oh,
what they know what they need to know to play that role.
so they are specialized.
They are specialized and not always specialized. They are just adapting to the position and learning what they're learning to play the role they need to play. But a functional leader is somebody that is all-rounded, that is developed, that has worked on himself over the years, and to him, he can function almost everywhere all the time, especially when it comes to leadership, that we are talking about.
Wow. That reminds me of a question I'd ask you. I won't want to deter from this thread, but it just reminds me of when I'd asked a question, I think one of our interviews, about what an ideal president was. And one of the things you said was that they should be able to work or function in multiple realms, or they should have had experience of functioning in multiple sort of realms and not one specific realm.
Well,
Is this what you meant?
yes, this is what I meant, that they should have added value to themselves over a long period of time that has equipped them and has prepared them to be able to be not positional leaders but functional leaders.
Yes, but what sort of value? Because I wrote it here. Value is the bricks of leadership. That's the way it appears you described it. They make up what leadership is, or what the leadership that you carry now, your being. Because you bring your being into leadership, and you're able to function everywhere rather than being specialized or adapting to a position or a role. So if we think about it in that way, you come in with value. What specific values would it take for you to operate in more than one sphere? Because if you were going to have, for example, the realms of media or the realms of, and then against the realms of finance or something like that, they're two different spheres and not the same sort of values go through. Well, there's some values. What sort of things are actually needed to develop that actually enable you to work in those spheres, even though they're different spheres?
I'm going to go back to that exercise we just did, experiment we just did with you now,
Okay, on the phone.
which is
Okay,
going to the YouTube or Google
okay, yeah,
and going through, typing Sunday Adilaja and the word add value or add value to
okay,
yourself. And then, we did it already, but if you want, you can do it again. And
okay,
I bet you that one of the things that you are going to find is a message that is called value chain.
okay.
That word is very important. Not just value, because when you say what sort of value should somebody have to be able to function like that, I don't believe the person, there is one particular value that will make somebody to function that way. But if you are doing the experiment right now, searching the YouTube or Google, you should be able to find the word value chain.
Okay, I'm looking for it. There are quite a number of very solid titles here, but probably because I'm searching on my phone, not all of it is linking. The full topic is not
Okay,
coming out. So some
then
of it, yeah,
can you write Sunday Adelaja and value chain?
value chain. Okay, I'll put that as C. Okay, turn your time into concrete value chain. Is it value chain? I think it is. I
Yep,
need to play.
yep.
C. Yes. Yeah, turn your time into concrete value chains.
Okay.
So is this what you meant by value
Is
chain?
that the only thing? Is that the only one on value
No,
chain that
there's
is
someone
there?
converting your time into concrete value chains.
Okay.
Converts in your life into a system of value chains.
Okay.
Uh, so you see, this is the issue, DSA.
Yes.
You put a topic there, right? And you
Yeah.
said value chain. All right.
Yes.
As
Yes.
far as I'm concerned, the first time I heard it, I just said that's value. All right. The chain is just like a way to say the chain is just there to make it interesting, or maybe it's some came out of one management book or something, to describe it, just like a system building, yard building at the end of system is just when you say value chain, you actually mean something with it specific.
Different.
So what is value chain? Because we started with value, now it's turned to value chain. So what is value chain? What is it?
That's if you have been listening to DSA over the years and you have
Yeah.
been very diligent, you will know that every word that DSA speaks, that's why I don't try to be eloquent and I don't try to speak fast. I try to think about on every word that I use. And so I take my time. I would rather be slow and be selective. I'm very selective about my use of words. So you will discover that every word that DSA speaks, every word has a meaning. In fact, every word you can take to the dictionary or to the bank and break them down and write a book from every word. So every word that I speak, they definitely, especially if I put it in a title, ooh, you better take it serious. So this particular one, value chain, turning your life to a concrete value chain or your time to a concrete value chain, those are secrets right there. Because so for you to be able to function and to be able to, as a president, like you are talking about, that it's
Yeah.
not enough to just have one value. And for you to be able to function on that level, maybe not as a president, but on the level of somebody that is a country shaker or that is a mover and shaker or a history maker, you've got to begin to think on the level of not just values but value chains.
Okay. So what is a value chain? Because I know what values, at least you've been talking about what values are. So what is this value chain? In terms of
Okay.
how does it link? I know what chain is.
Yes.
I know what the value, I have an idea of this value. At least
Yes.
it relates with character.
Yes.
It relates with
Does
character.
anybody have a chain
But
there?
how does it become a chain?
Chain. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if anybody has a chain there. Okay, you know the way the chains are. Chains are connected like this.
Yes, they're connected. Yeah.
And they're connected. Yeah,
Yes.
different ones and connected and one the other. You have a chain? Give it to me. Yeah. So value chain is one value that is developed to track. Okay, this is not. It has to be. Value chain has to be connected. From it means that you make up your mind to develop. Yeah. So I have a small chain here. These are women's stuff. I don't know how to fix it, but I'm going to try.
So they all have these values needs to be sort of connected in the same way this chain is connected.
Yes, the same way these chains are connected. Yeah, the same way these chains are connected. You've got, it's not visible, right?
I can see it.
Okay.
I think I can see it.
Okay, you've got to have, so you've got to build your life. That's why I wrote that book. I mean, I made those messages. You've got to build your life intentionally. Adding one, going from one value to the other, from one value to the other, and you are building a chain, a circle of chain, where all those values are interrelated and connected. And then that whole value chain become the essence of your life. So now what that means is that, in every segment, every area of every circle of the chain, they stand for one value or one skill set. So one skill set is connected to another skill set. One skill set is connected to another skill set. So by the time you are through, this value chain you have built is built of skill sets. So your value chain is full of so many skills that you'll be able to function almost anywhere because of the chain of values and skills that you have built in your life. That's why those messages must go and be explored by anybody that is truly serious.
Okay, so does that mean that the measure of a leader is a measure of values or skill sets the leader has?
Yes, you're right.
Or even the link between them is, or do we say you could have values, but there's a different part where you have to also link them? Because how do you link values?
The values you have, okay, for example, let me explain to you what a value would be like. Just trying to think of something. Okay, let me use this iPad as an example.
Okay.
This iPad is costing $1,000. Now, this another set of iPad that is similar to this,
yeah,
could be costing $100. There is something that makes one iPad, two iPads. You have another iPad there? Can I have it? So this is one iPad for $1,000. This is another iPad for $100. How can the same iPad, they look similar, how can one cost $1,000 and one is costing $100? So if these things are the same company, so how can you give one $1,000 and another $100? Because there are functionalities in one that is not present in the other. And it all depends on the output or the skill sets, you could say, that one has, that the other one doesn't have. So the value, therefore, of this iPad depends on the skill sets that are put inside, the capacity that are built inside of it. It decides the value. So the value of this iPad is $1,000, while the value of this is $100. Same name, different values. When you go to a store, whenever you go to a store and you see products or any product, anything, you look for the price.
Yep.
The reason why you're looking for the price is because you want to know how much value it has. So prices, they are like indicators. They help you to understand how much content, how much skill set, how much capacity is in that or is attached to that particular product. It is value that determines the price of a thing, not the other way. Now there are other people who will do the opposite. They will go and put high price on something, but that is a mistake. The price doesn't determine the value. It is actually the value that decides the price. So the same thing when you talk about leadership. A leader that is able to function in any area, in any role. The reason why he has that, it means he has high premium of values. It means he has high rate of value. He's rated highly. His value is high. The reason why his value is that high is because of those capacity he has built in himself, because of those skill sets that he has formulated over the years. So that is the kind of thing I'm trying to talk about in those messages where I was talking about value chains. So that build yourself like that ahead of time. Make yourself a walking value house, a powerhouse of values. You know, determine your value, and the price tag will come.
Determine your value. That's quite a thing. So it's still
you determine your value, then the price tag will come up later on.
So you determine your value.
Build your content, build your capacity, build your skill set. That will determine your price tag.
Now, if someone says, okay, I'm going to learn how to code, how to program, do computer programming, they've improved or gained you can call it skill set. But this is not what you're talking about.
That's just one. But you need a value chain. Again, value chain. Go back to the value chain. And go back to the chains I just showed you.
Yes, the bricks that make leadership.
Yes.
So therefore, can you say put coding, for example, learning how to code or how to program, and
never make the mistake people make. When you just go and learn a skill in the university, you learn to code or programming. That is just a skill. And that is what most people have done with their lives. They go and learn one skill and say they have finished university, or they got a diploma, or they got a certificate, and they are looking for a job. That is why they are dispensable. They go and study one thing like medicine, and they say they have finished university, and that's the only thing they know. They are dispensable. They go and study something and get a diploma, education, or any profession, and say, okay, I've got I've got a diploma, a certificate. It makes them dispensable. But what makes you indispensable is the value chain. Instead of just getting one skill and calling it a profession, the wisdom demands that you go and build a value chain of skills. Then that is what will make you indispensable.
Wow. So, for example, can you say learning to code as a skill and developing the character of courage? You can put those two together in a value chain. So we can get skills as in practical skills and things as values, which you will talk like character, and you are putting them as the same thing in terms of they're still the same building blocks of leadership.
Yeah, but two is too small when we are talking about value chain.
Okay, of course. Yes, I'm sure. About how many?
When we are talking about value chains, two is too small. It just has to be like that particular chain that I told you, that I just showed you.
Okay.
It has to be more than two blocks will not make a chain.
But two cannot make a chain. So how many would you say you operate in if you had to think about it?
I think I would just call it a chain.
Okay. So can you list what are your most important or your top? Because in a chain, I guess there are some parts of it that are very important. That part that you linked up at the end, if that part wasn't there, I guess every part of a chain is important. But that part that you linked up, the hook, if that didn't work, then you couldn't really have a chain at the end.
Yes.
That would play the role.
Yes.
Which are the most vital values for you? Which are your most vital?
It will be unfair to other people who have another set of value chain.
But because people observe you, so if they can probably hear what are important, then they might be able to link it to what they observe. And
everything is important in life.
Okay.
And the way you treat the small things is the way you will treat the big things. So everything you develop, every skill you develop in yourself is as good as any other person develops.
Okay.
Because just make sure you don't just develop the skill, but you turn it into a value. If I mention my own skill sets, That is not we are going to be here for the whole day and the whole week, but that still is not important because there are always around me people who have different skill sets that I'm learning from all the time. And there should be those kind of people. Every one of us should still be learning other new skill sets every day. I am learning other new skill sets every day. So it will not be fair and it will not be possible. And my own skill sets are not superior to other people's skill sets. They are just different.
Just different. So we all have to just develop skill sets according to
according to your intuition, according to your calling. Things are buried in all of us, and those things that are buried in us are calling out, and they are pushing us all the time. They are pushing us towards what to develop, towards what skills to develop, because it is your calling and your inherent mission in life that will push you to your own value chain. Just follow it. Just develop them.
So follow your intuition. Your intuition leads you into knowing, where
into
what you should be developing,
value chain,
into the values.
Yeah.
Oh, your own type of chain.
Yes.
So that's why we all have a unique type of chain.
Yes.
And we all have different sort of chains.
And that's why we will always need one another.
Why do we need one another? Oh, because of the differences in our chain.
Yes, we will always need one another. Okay. That's why I wrote the book, The Law of Difference. I think, today, I don't know why. I'm mentioning a lot of books because this topic is touching on a lot of aspects of life that I've already written about. So this is called the Law of Difference, that we will always be different, but there is something inside all of us that is pointing us, pushing us towards a particular line of growth and development that it will be unique to us.
But does it mean that we will only seek, when you said we need others, does it mean we need others that have enriched value chains? Or because what value is somebody with just 2 chains?
Well,
if someone has
yes.
two links in his chain, if someone has 2 links in his chain, does it mean that you avoid people like that?
You don't avoid them. All of us are not all of us are not short of people. We all have a lot of people around all of us. We all have people around us all the time. You see people all around you all the time, but you pass them by. You don't see any need to learn from them, to hear from them, you don't feel they're adding to you because of that exact thing you said, because they didn't develop the value chains. But when you feel and you see the people who have developed their own value chains, you don't want to leave them. You want to keep on talking to them. You want to keep on receiving from them. You want to keep on learning from them. That is the difference. So it's not just people. That's why this other book that we are seeing here, I'm a person, but am I a personality? That's why it's very important, because the fact that I see persons around me, that doesn't mean that they have any value to be added to myself. It's only the people who have developed that themselves from just being persons to personalities. Those people I feel that I see the need and I feel the need to learn from and to receive from. It will be automatic for me to want to learn from them.
And I guess it's for everyone. So it's automatic. The people that you admire or the people that you start to, be drawn to learn from, therefore they have some value chains that is automatically calling.
Yeah, but it's not automatic that you'll be able to see them. Because sometimes you too need to have developed yourself, your person, to a certain level of personality before you could even be able to understand other personalities.
Okay, that would be a whole question. Okay, first you have to develop yourself to a level before you can identify values in other personalities.
Yes, sir.
Can you just explain that level? What does it mean? That means there are levels in this development.
Definitely.
What is this level?
For example, if you are not an inquisitive person and you have not developed in yourself if you are not an educated person, what I describe as being educated is the ability to be inquisitive, to ask questions, and to function by the law of cause and effect. So if you have not been educated to that level of thinking, You are just a human being. You are just a biomass. You are just walking throughout on the earth. And so you don't ask questions for yourself. You don't ask questions of yourself and of others. You are not engaged in self-development. If you don't have that, you will just be passing by everyone. Everybody will just be passing you by. You will not even be able to have the ability to identify the values that are passing you by. You will just be missing opportunities. You don't even know what opportunities mean. But if you are the other person that is always looking for, you've developed the inquisitiveness and the critical thinking of the ability to be able to reason and search for and develop yourself, then you'll be seeing opportunity everywhere.
Because you've written there's a book you've written about that describes opportunity being everywhere in terms of your problems.
You see, that is another book right there. Life is an opportunity.
Yes. So does it mean when you were speaking about problems, I don't know, is it Problems Here I Am, or there's a book like that about seeing opportunities? The idea was seeing opportunities.
Hello, I am searching for problems.
I'm searching for problems. That book.
That's another book right there.
So are you saying that you have to have developed yourself to a level of self-development in terms of change you would have put it to be able to see problems as opportunities?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's why most people in the world see problems as problems. They see problems as challenge, as troubles. They run away from problems. But when you have to, only very few people, maybe 3% of people in the world have developed themselves to that level. That is a much higher level where you begin to look for problems. Maybe less than 3, in a way. Only about 3% of the world population has reached that level to be searching for problems. So when I wrote that book, hello, I'm searching for problems, ordinary, normal biomass people would think that that's a crazy man that has written that book, or that's a crazy book. And they will avoid that book with all their strength. They will run away from it as fast as they can.
Yeah, when you talk about that crazy man, right? I know you might have said it in terms of an insult, but I'm telling you that there are many people, let me confess, sometimes I read some of the things you write or say some things and I say, this is just, I'm short of saying outrageous. It's just totally off. Like, it's just, especially like, for example, the essence and value of life. It's just totally, the idea is opposite or contrary to popular knowledge. So the normal way you would think, how you approach things, is a it's just counter approach to that. And maybe this should lead me to this point I was thinking about. That does every value, is every value linked to an action? So therefore, the value within your value chain determines a type of action that you carry out, since it's your being. As you're just being yourself, based on a value chain, does it mean that every value links to a type of action you have out in the world?
Yes, and the book you mentioned, the value and essence of life, is another book that I'm searching for problems. And Value and Essence of Life is another book that is also talking about this topic. But to answer your question, yes, every value, when it becomes your essence, it will lead to work. There is no way, because you could know a value, but that will not lead to action. But the only value that will lead to action is the value that has become your essence.
So that's the ones that have been imbibed and are now operating in your subconscious.
Yes.
So this is sort of like what you're describing is the creation of a personal philosophy. Would I be right to say that? Or can you enrich on that?
Yeah, it's a way of saying it. You could say I have a message like that, to create your own philosophy of life. So there is a whole system of how you can create your own philosophy of life, and I have a message on it.
Where is that? Is that on the series? Is it on the series or
I don't know what series. Just go to YouTube and look for Sunday Adelaja philosophy.
Philosophy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, let's talk about one aspect that I've observed about.
The essence and value of
I
yes
want
and
yes. Okay. So the Essence of Art, that's a very good book. That's one of the books that I've not managed to come up from. But I wanted to just an observation. Would you, if I described, what would you say if I described you as that you have an aspect of being combative?
Oh,
Would I be
yes.
right?
Definitely.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Without that, I would not be who I am right now. Without
Okay.
that, I would not even be doing what I'm doing at all, and I would have been erased from the surface of the earth without being combative. I am definitely
Okay.
combative.
So being combative, is survival, or is this something that's attached to value chain or value in your value chain?
No, it's a value in my value chain.
Oh, it's a value.
Yes.
So being combative because I think it's viewed as a negative value by a lot of people. You only need to see the comments. Oh, they say, "What's your business?" Oh, what are you doing? What is this? You're causing a lot of trouble. This is this is not Christ-like. Okay, so you are saying that you have a value chain for combat.
Yes.
There's a need to develop combat.
Not just being combative, but being militant as well.
What? That's even worse. so combative and militant.
Yes.
Okay, let's differentiate those two. What is the difference between combative and militant?
There is not too big difference. It's just being intense. I'm just intensifying the word. I'm just making it. If you say being combative is negative, so I want to let you know to make it worse for you, that I'm not just combative, but I'm also militant when need be. But it's just one set of skills or set of value in my value chain.
Why is that important for a functional leader to be combative?
If Jesus had not been combative, he would have had the courage to go into that temple and confront those sellers and those merchants who have merchandised the church and the temple, and he would have had the courage to get them out of there. And if Jesus had not been combative, he would have been able to face the challenges and of the position of the people and be able to challenge them and speak truth to authority. So Jesus needed to be combative to be able to fulfill his mission on the earth, to be able to function as a kingdom representative. But it's just one because of his skills. When you look at Jesus, the Bible says that the symbol that God, the Bible sometimes describes as Jesus, says that he has the two. It's like somebody that has different kind of faces. Sometimes you see the Son of Man. He has a face of a lion. Sometimes it's like a face of a dove. Sometimes it's like the face of human. Sometimes it's like the face of different kind of faces. So that means that those are different value chains right there that even Jesus carried in himself.
Wow. I want to talk about this idea of faces, because when you say faces, a face is almost like a personality in a way.
Yes.
Or so it's like multiple personalities.
No, not
or
personalities.
Is it a form of development?
That's why I call it value chains. Skills, value chains. That's why I said, for you to be able to be a mover and a shaker, you need to function not just in the area of having value, but in value chains. So whenever Jesus needed to be a lion, like in that temple, he would be. Whenever he needed to be soft like a dove, you will see him like that as well, so loving. But he's the same person, but you must know what skills to apply at a particular time.
Okay, I'm going to come back to this, but just so I don't lose thought, there was a question I wrote earlier, because you said being combative leads to courage, and use the example of Jesus.
No, it's the opposite.
Okay, so courage leads to being combative.
Yes.
Rather than combative leading to being courageous.
Yes. You've got to develop the value of courage in yourself, and then being combative with the action. Because you had asked me, does every value lead to actions?
I
say yes. So that value is courage, and the action is combativeness.
And that's just one of it.
That's
So
just one.
combativeness, is it just courage? Or are there other things that go with courage that leads to that sense
Yes,
of
anything
combativeness?
related to courage. It could be boldness, it could be courage, it could be audacity, it could be inner strength. You know, that is what will lead you to combat, and fearlessness. Those things will lead you to being able to be militant and combative when necessary.
You've differentiated fearlessness from courage. How is that?
It's similar, but I'm just trying to find synonyms.
Okay, to enrich it.
Yes.
Okay. And you talked about inner strength. One is because when we started offline, before we started, you talked about this having tough skin to be able to survive the feedback or the what would I call it, repercussion of sometimes when you say something, there's a whiplash effect here, and people just, it goes back, you have this hit back. And you said you need to have thick skin to be able to survive. Is that that's inner strength, or am I describing it in the wrong way?
Yes, that is inner strength, but that inner strength is coming out of the value that has been developed.
Okay.
So, because we are talking about my video that I did addressing the Yoruba leaders.
Yes.
And because people used to think that I was just a churchman, because they are now used to me. Before, they were just thinking I was just a good pastor, a successful pastor there. You know, nobody knew anything about me, really. They just knew that I was a successful Nigerian in Europe. But they didn't really know who I am. So when I started calling out the pastors, they were saying, wow, this guy is tough. He could really call out these people. But, well, they thought that is just in relation to pastors. And that is, he's done a good job, and that's, oh, he's so bold. But they don't know that I go beyond that. See, people are more comfortable when they put you in a box. So now that they see me calling out national leaders, not just religious leaders, but national leaders, to them it's a shock. And it's another crisis that people have to cope with. And the way they express and the way they cope with their own coping mechanism is to abuse me, to try to shut me down, to try to make me keep quiet. And they come against me and call me names, and because they are not used to it. That is their own way of coping with shock. But they don't know that I'm not done yet. What I've done now is just calling out national leaders. Soon, I'm going to be calling out political leaders.
Okay.
But that is just the product. What they are saying are just the actions. You spoke about actions. But that is not what really matters for me. Those things don't describe me. They don't determine who I am. What really determines who I am are the value chains that are inside. So once I have the value chains already developed, for me, what I do are just the consequences. They are just the results.
And, you know, when I was just reflecting as you were speaking now, when you were talking about, you know, being able to speak and acting and addressing leaders. And I remember when you got involved with, you know, trying to challenge the African churches about their practices. And a lot of people have been, you know, not a lot, but there were a couple of people who have been probably quietly, or not quietly, they were trying to challenge it. But it was not until you got involved that the whole thing got traction. In terms of that it really became something. Because otherwise, there are people that could have been speaking probably for a long time and it didn't make any difference. Where does leadership have to play? Is this something to do with this value chain you're describing?
No, it's not just leadership. This goes beyond leadership. This is levels of leadership now.
Okay.
And like what we had said earlier, the level of leadership depends on value chains that the leader has developed earlier. That is why I did a video. There is a video that I released one time. I said, I am not Willie Akane. And
yes, I've seen that.
Yes. So, and Willie Akane is a great guy, one of the best we have. And he's been talking on this for years, and not just him. A lot of other people like him have been talking about this, but you've got to develop other sets of value chain other than just talking of the truth. So talking the truth is one good thing. It's a great thing to know and to be able to know the right thing like himself and doing his best. But that it will not cause the kind of earthquake and traction that will cause a fundamental change in the way everything is done.
So there's a different set
So
of
when
values.
when I say that I'm going to Nigeria and I'm going to change Nigeria, people will just think this guy is just bragging. Well, because that's what they know. That is the level they are. When anybody takes responsibility to that level and say I'm going to change a country, the level they are in is that level where that is just bragging or pride. That's just being pompous. Because that is what they know. People who talk like that, they never really do anything because they only brag. So that is what they are exposed to. That is their own level of exposure. So the only interpretation they have in their mind is that either this guy is mad, because where they are coming from, only mad people behave like that. Only mad people they have ever seen talk to that height of rubbish. Or people who just brag, who just want to swell their ego. So that's exactly the same box where they will put me, because they have never seen anybody like that. They've never functioned. They've never moved in that level. So they just give their own interpretation. So whatever they say, those things against me and about me, it only reveals to me who they are and where they are. So all those comments people say and they are telling me and they are talking about me, they think that they are defining me, but they are not. Because whatever they say doesn't stop me from doing what I need to do. I keep on doing my own thing because it doesn't define me. They are actually is defining them. So in every one of their comments, they are actually giving definition to who they are and what level they are in and what circle they belong and what they have been exposed to and where their limitations are. So they only expose themselves at the end of the day. So it's a good opportunity for me to hear their comments to be able to see where they are. But that doesn't determine where I am, where I'm going. I still keep on doing what I need to do.
So do you therefore know all the people, people you work with, people around you, and people you relate? Do you generally have the ability to detect the levels of leadership or the levels of functional leadership people are?
Oh yeah, that's very easy.
Okay.
When you have taken a journey and you have passed that journey, you will definitely be able to identify that you passed through that place and you know where people are.
Okay, so you can say, okay, that one is 50. Well, this person is 20 years away from the development level that you've actually got. You remember, when I was probably 15, that was when I saw that last. Or that reminds me of my 21-year-old self.
Yeah.
Well, that's the sort of way that you tend to see it.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
But that's a good thing because that then helps you to know how to help them.
Okay. Yes, because then you've been through that, so you're able to help them through your own experience as well.
Yes.
Okay. When I had this idea of asking about leadership, I wasn't expecting the distinction between positional and functional leadership. What I was expecting was something on servant leadership, which is why I say you can't really assume what you're going to say.
Servant leadership leadership is a good thing, but it's more something you can read in a book. You can go to YouTube now or go to Amazon and just put servant leadership. You find hundreds of books. So
many, yeah.
So, but when I talk and when I write my books, and they are not things that you could go and pick up any book on the topic. If I write any book or I say I do any video, they are not things that you can just go and pick up anywhere. Anything I speak about, you will not see them anywhere regularly, randomly like that. So when you want to talk about leadership, even though I have a topic on servant leadership as well, for people who want to talk about leadership or know more about my leadership philosophy, I have a whole series on leadership. A whole series, maybe about 100 hours of teachings on that, maybe 50 hours. I think there are about 30 videos or 40 videos on leadership that I have on YouTube. Leadership is a ladder. A leader is a ladder, sorry.
It's a ladder. And this is another interesting thing. You put a title. You said we should take note of your title. So your titles are very important. So if you
Yes.
say a leader is a ladder, I remember the first time I actually heard that. I thought, okay, maybe this is why this is very open and very helpful, but it just sounds wrong because usually when you hear leader, it's more control, it's more in charge, it's more direction. Probably conflict might even be more combative. Will probably even fit more into it. For ladder, I'm starting to understand because ladder, where do you want them to get ahead of you? Because another thing was the other time when we had the interview 300, you were talking about 300 years one. You'd said that, oh, I have to go think 300 years ahead because I'm a leader. And I think I noted that's what the reason for this particular topic. Because you said you have to go 300 years so that, and then you mentioned something, I don't know if I've used the right words, but you said so that the people behind you can have something to eat or something to feed on. So that I stopped. I said, okay, but I didn't want to ask that there because you would have taken it in a different way. So I said, okay, let's leave that for another day. So could you please elaborate on this idea of leadership in terms of that sense of going out ahead and why you need to go that much ahead to lead?
Well, you started out by asking a different question in the beginning. You were
Yes,
talking about a leader is a ladder.
as a ladder, yeah. So
Then
yeah,
now
so
you are
let's
talking
start.
about
Okay.
300 years.
Yeah, yes, because it's this how it's modeled in my mind. So probably we start because I think what I'm doing is contrasting the concept of a leader as a ladder. So a ladder to where? Is it to where they are meant to be?
Well, I
Uh,
have a whole series on it. Like I said, there are over 30
okay.
videos there. Definitely, you'll be able to learn a lot more about it from those videos. But yes, a ladder is all about somebody. I mean, it's all about an object that you put on the wall
Yeah.
so that you could stand on it to get to where you would naturally not be able to get to on your own.
Okay.
So what the ladder does for you is that you put it against the wall, you climb on it, and now you are reaching out to something that you could not touch. And then when you reach out to that height that you could not get to before, while you are still standing on that ladder, from that height, you are accomplishing whatever the purpose was in your mind that you needed to climb the ladder for. So exactly what I meant, that I'm a ladder, come climb on me to your destiny, to your purpose, to fulfill whatever the intention, the mission, the purpose that God has put in you. So that and whatever dream you have in your heart. Sometimes I interchange that word ladder to bridge, for bridge. I say I'm a bridge. When a bridge, the need for a bridge is when there is a gulf and you needed to cross that gulf, you will need a bridge. So I am that bridge. Come walk on me and pass from one side of that gulf to the other so that you'll be able to reach your destiny and destination. Everybody has different destination, but the bridge will provide you the connection between where you are right now and where you want to be. Everybody has one dream or the other. They are here, their dream is here, it's so far from where they are. They don't know how to jump it. You need a bridge. A bridge will permit you to be able to ride from where you are to where you need to go to. Same with the
So
ladder.
it's a form of like leverage.
Yes.
Okay. So I see. So is that what you're saying the leader should be, therefore?
Every
Be
leader is
some
supposed
form
to
of
be
a leverage.
every leader is supposed to be the same way. But
I don't think most leaders are like that.
of course they are not, because they are not biblical example of leaders. They are word example of leaders. Gentile example of leaders, which is I'm in charge, I'm in control, I am on top, you are under. You are the stool for me, stepping stone for me, or footstool for me. So leadership in the way we see it contemporarily right now is a footstool leadership. I am the leader, I stand on top of you. That is what leadership is right now in the world, unfortunately. But because our time is coming to an end, though, let me just make a small announcement for people who might want to call into the program. So anybody that is watching us right now, if you would like to call into the program, we are nearing the end of this program. So please go to Facebook Messenger. And when you get to Facebook Messenger, look for Move Agents. Move Agents. Look for Move Agents. When you get to Move Agents, search for, when you get to Move Agents, write a note or a message to us that you want to call. So go to Facebook Messenger, search for Move Agents. When you get Move Agents, write a note or a message. Just send us a message that you want to call. You know, when you send us a message, then we'll be able to reply. You will answer and, you know, we'll call you back. So please go look for Move Agents on Facebook Messenger and let us know that you want to call. We'll call you back. Yes, you can continue, sir.
Okay. So are positional leaders by default, therefore, this type of footstool leadership that you just described?
Sorry?
Is that the default? Is that the default position for positional leaders? That they will by effect be footstool, because you use that word footstool leadership, where you are down there, I'm above. Is that what is a default action of positional leaders?
Most of them, yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay. So positional leadership is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that it's specialized. It's specialized to the role.
Yes.
That's what makes that a negative.
Yes. Some functional leaders could do that too.
Oh, okay. So that's something that functional leaders could do.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, but then this type of world leaders, they're the ones who have this footstool thing. And I guess this is why you're challenging in the Nigerian and African church.
You got it.
That it's a world leadership practice rather than
the kingdom leadership practice.
Kingdom leadership practice.
And that is why people who don't take their time to study what I'm saying and to analyze and think on them, they will just condemn me outrightly. Because that's what they know. That's where they're coming from. But if they will be more detailed and be more careful like yourself, then you will know where I'm coming from too.
Now, there's another thing that I've also noticed, that you tend to want to enforce.
Why did you talk? Why do you stop talking? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. You tend to want to enforce. So to enforce things. So you have this idea of enforcing kingdom. You talk about that. So you say, you want to go ahead and enforce. And when I looked at your book on the kingdom of sons, there's a lot of things about saying this is decaying, that is there, we're meant to go out and repair, those type of things. So leadership, is that a key part of leadership, this idea of just enforcing things? Because if you are enforcing, there's always something that's already there. So it means conflict. So does this therefore relate with this combative thing I was talking about? Is that the purpose of the combativeness in terms of having to enforce all the time, enforce a kingdom way on the world?
Yeah, because you are talking about kingdom of sons. So, and you are also talking about the kind of message that I preach, which is I'm representing the kingdom of God. And what the kingdom of God is supposed to be is a kingdom that is the ideal. And this kingdom is supposed to replace the kingdom of this world. That is where the role of enforcement is here.
Okay.
So let's say we have sorrow. We are bringing joy to replace sorrow. So that would make a conflict. There must be a conflict there. But it's a necessary conflict because anybody that is occupying the place that you want to come and take over will not give up easily. So enforcement is how the kingdom of God is done. The kingdom of God comes by, he said the kingdom of God is, what does it say, suffers violence. and only the violent will take it. So it is only through violence, through force and assertiveness. It's only through assertion that you'll be able to bring the kingdom of God. He said, go, I give unto you power. I give unto you authority, power. Go and step on scorpions and snakes and all the forces of the enemy. Stepping on those things is enforcement. It's not retreating, it's advancing, it's an attacking position.
So being nice all the time is definitely not an ambition of a leader.
You have to be nice also if you want to become a ladder. You can never function as a ladder if you are not nice, but that is one function. That is one aspect of your functionality, of your skill set. That's why I say don't just go ahead and specialize in one skill or in one value and then stop there. It's got to be a shame. So as you are nice, as you have been the nice part of you and the kind part of you, so also you must have the assertiveness when necessary.
Wow, this is I've really learned a lot from some of the things you said today, particularly functional leadership. It's taking the question, the questions I initially thought about, it just put me up on a different trajectory. Well, that's really good because it's really enriched my idea of, why you've settled in for functional leadership as a thing and why you're actually multi-skilled. It gives me more ideas of why you're multi-skilled. And also it's given me an idea that probably the multi-skilled I see, or we are able to see, are likely to be the ones you are manifesting, but they're not all the ones we know about.
Yeah, now you are
constantly reinventing, so therefore we can't even predict the
next
sort of stage.
That's why I couldn't list anything for you. I think we have a caller right now.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, DSA.
Yes, sir. Who is calling, please? From where?
This is Hillary from Canada.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while. How are you, Pastor?
I'm fine, thank you, DSA.
Nice to hear from you again. Have you been watching this program?
I've watched the program, but not all of it, but I just want to throw a little comment.
Yes.
Yes, DSA. I want to comment about the aspect of, I've had a lot of mentors before I came across DSA.
Yes.
And all my previous mentors would be very strict against people using them.
Oh, okay.
It's only when I came to DSA that I discovered that DSA will actually tell people to come use him. I've been thinking about it for a while. That what kind of man is this that will tell people openly, come and use me and achieve your dreams or whatever?
Yep.
And that's something that is so commendable to me. And I just read the book, How to Create Your Net Worth.
Any leader that says that don't use me is because they are only interested in using you. They don't want you to use them.
That's right, DSA. That's right. That's right. I've been through that a lot in Africa. It was so terrible sometimes that I almost, in fact, under one of the leaders, I almost thought that God was just like a game, because I lived with a leader for 6 months and I almost backslided rather than becoming more godlike.
Wow.
Yeah, because the things I went through there, oh my God.
My God.
But I thank God for everything anyway.
You said you just read one of my books.
Yeah, I read the book How to Create Your Net Worth.
Yes.
So for the little bit I followed from this program and in line with the things that I learned from that book is so amazing. It's so amazing.
I actually recommend. Net Worth is one of the books I recommended today. I mentioned it actually. Can you show the book?
Yeah, I heard it. That's why I'm talking about it, because I heard you talk about it.
Yes.
So, and I want to recommend it to everyone who is on the program today. That book is a must read for everyone that is aspiring to achieve something in life. Thank you so much, DSA, for all you're doing. We are learning and we're growing every day.
Well, I'm so happy that God saw your heart and therefore brought you across.
Amen.
This kind of platform. Thank you, sir.
Amen.
Greetings to the family. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Yeah.
Okay. We got a call from there. Maybe there will be other callers. For people who want to call, just go to Facebook Messenger, look for Move Agents. But you are saying something, Ben, before we went out. So go ahead and continue your
Okay.
thoughts.
I think I was about to
Hello,
ask it.
Ben?
Yes.
I
Can you
can't
hear
hear
me?
you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you
No?
now, yes.
Okay, great. I'm not sure I could remember the specific thing I was speaking at the time, but I was thinking of going into a new sort of line of question. I wanted to ask, because you can't be a leader without followers, or can you be a leader without followers?
Uh, the end result of a leader will have to be followership, but
Oh,
it will not always start with followership.
oh, so you could have like a nomad ranger leader, like he's just walking alone out there, and he's still a leader with nobody.
Yes.
Okay. So if
Especially
no one wants,
because
yeah.
there are stages in leadership. So you could be a leader, and at this particular stage of your life, maybe you are adding value to yourself and you are more concentrated at building yourself. So that time you might not really have people following you, but it will be temporary. I think we have a caller now. Hello?
Hello, dear sir.
Yes, is that Mrs. Adeola?
Yeah, Adiola speaking.
Yes, nice to hear from you today.
Yeah, actually, dear sir, thanks for all your teachings all the time. I do read and look, in depth into your teaching, like this life of a leader. When you dealt with the leadership
Series.
yeah, I listen to everything. And I get that a leader, with the content in a leader, it will surely overflow into his spheres of authority, or when he even comes into leadership role for the nation, for the state. You take the instance of Awolowo. The guy, he's dead years now, but what he did as a leader is still very, very reflective in Nigeria today, if not even in the Western region, mostly, like this free education he gave to that I benefited from it, at least free education on the primary level, and even the secondary level was so affordable, even to because it was only £15 that in those days, £15 per term we pay in the secondary school level. And nowadays I wonder, some people, you look at Oshimbajo now, he's putting on the cap of Awolowo, style of Awolowo. What is unique to Awolowo? I can't see the content in Oshimbajo, because you can't just dress and shape like Awolowo and then you are not performing. I can't see it for him being number two citizen in that place. I can't see it at all. So those are the things, I learned that the content in a leader, it should be very reflective. The value of the content in you, your capacity, when you get to authority, you should be able to let it reflect. You enforce it, just as you said in your teaching that, yes, joy is in heaven, we have to bring joy here. Laughter is in heaven, laughter has to be here. Comfort is there, comfort has to be everywhere. Not in the situation we have in Nigeria now, that no comfort, nothing, and we have all this leader there. Take for instance, Jack Conde. He reflected Awolowo's values and content and capacity. That guy reflected it despite all odds and all. He did his best. He did something that is still even being seen till today, despite that Nigeria is still in shambles or whatever. But he did something. But when you want to show me your leadership skill, or you want to show me the style of one past generation or past leader, and I can't see it today. I'm sorry, you are flaunting your children. All of them are flaunting their children on in the media, graduating abroad, schooling abroad. You can't be working in Nigeria and tell me you didn't, embezzle money to be able to afford to send children to school in this school. I live here. I work hard to send my children to independent school. We call it private, they call there, we call it independent school here. And They make it so easy for you that you pay monthly to get your children if you don't want to go to ordinary mainstream school, So all these things, when they are leaders and we can't see the skills and the capacity and the values of what a leader should be in the leaders we are having in Nigeria today, I'm sorry, no. I don't count them as leaders. They are figureheads. They go play their own role and get out. Just come on stage and do your rubbish. And it's true, because there is no change. We can't see change. Instead, the poverty level, the educational level, the literacy level, the housing level, the killing, it's all nonsense. I'm telling you, it's all nonsense. There's no leader anymore. They need to come and go and read far, because to be a leader, you go to read far so you get more in yourself, build yourself, the hunger you are, both for the things of the divine and the things of the world. You have to be able to hunger for it, get it in you, and then proclaim it, make it, enforce it into the society. It's not like force, but enforcement is not force, but you are making it happening, to the nation, that yes, you to be like this developed country, you send your children here to I mean, they send their children here. I wrote it online, say, oh, it's now, vogue now, everybody is flaunting their children graduating abroad. To tell me, so those in Nigeria, if you have good education in Nigeria, why do you have to come abroad? I live here, that's why I did it. If I had been in Nigeria, my child would be in Nigeria. You get what I mean? So leaders of today are just, shambles to me. They don't learn anything. They don't put anything in there. They don't even have values, which is one of the things I, admire more in you when you said you have to change the value system of Nigeria first before you can even do anything for them. Because if they don't change their value, their mindset, and it will all come to ground zero again. You get what I mean?
Yes.
So thank you for your teaching. I look into it deeply and see what I need to, do, and what I need to get and function. Not just get it. I want to function in it. That's it. I call out the Okoh State governor because there's a school. They sent me the thing. The school is so very. I don't know. We have so many governors since this 20-something years we've been practicing democracy, and the school has no water. Even the classroom is like they just put all this raffia thing as roof, and they sit down. So the snake walk into them. There's no water, nothing. I had to call out the governor of that state, and they are telling me now that the senator who is there is trying to do. I said, I don't care what senator wants to do. I am calling you out because if you don't do it, I will take the responsibility on myself to get something done there. And that's when the senators start running out to do something. Can you imagine that? It's
beautiful.
It's so disheartening. Nigerian leaders are, look at westernized leaders. They have content in them. When they come on, we give glory to them. These people are doing the work, and you're happy. No matter how, even if the labor come in or the conservative come in, they are still doing something in this country. Same thing in the US and all over the world. But African leaders, they all need to be beheaded, I tell you. Rollins did the right thing when Rollins did what he did in Ghana. He did the right thing by just wiping a lot of them out in order for him to have the opportunity and chance to do what he needs to do. And look at Ghana now. They are getting better. At least they are getting better. I need to be getting better and better. But if you don't start from somewhere, you get it nowhere, Thank you for your teaching anyway, DSA. Thank you so much. I understand the content that you have to put into yourself, the values before your leadership can be effective.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, man. Thank you so very much. Blessings. All right, Ben. I think that will be all for today. Our time is
okay.
Yep.
It's up. Okay.
What will you have to say in conclusion?
Wow, I'd like to say, there's a lot that's been learned. So thank you again for sharing your ideas. Functional leadership, that's a whole thing now to start exploring. And you've also so much resources. It's not until we started doing the search we'll find out that actually this area appears to be something you've done so many aspects. Almost a lot of your books around this topic. So therefore, leadership and self-leadership is probably, is a vital thing. And also because I know you've mentioned before that you are life is your expertise. It's about life and how to live life. So therefore, leadership must be a key part for most of your books to link up to that topic. So yes, it's developing the value chain, uh, moving up levels, observing and not assuming that you know everything, and learning to be able to function in more than one sphere and in more spheres to add value or be functional in all those spheres. So it's been a lot learned. Thank you for the interview today, or for the opportunity of an interview today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll see you next
Thank you.
time. Peace.
See you too, sir.
Blessings.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that's the end of today's program, and I'll be back with you tomorrow. So, see you, everyone.